Hello, team. So today we are going to be talking about nutrition being the bottleneck that is holding your results back. So we're going to talk about tactical nutrition strategies to ensure optimal results around a busy life. Because let's be honest, life doesn't slow down and it's very hard to continuously hit good food, do the right things when life gets busy because the first thing that goes is stuff like nutrition, stuff like training. So I really want to kind of delve into how we can optimize things without making it more complicated for you. So let's get into this. So next page. There we go. First of all, I just want to change your minds, first of all. So the truth is, it's not about being perfect. It's not about having the perfect nutrition. So cooking all your own food, having only two ingredient foods, having a high protein diet, all of these things perfect, no ready meals, nothing like that, no takeaways. That's not the right approach because let's be honest, life gets busy, social events come up, people have families, people have busy lives. Sometimes some of us are going to get in at 10 p.m. and we got to be up at 6 the next day, right? We don't have time to cook a full meal. So what can we do in those times when that happens to optimize our results, still eat in a healthy range whilst optimizing our progress? There's things we can do, but first of all, I want you to forget about having everything as optimal and think best as I can based on the circumstances you're in, whether that's children, whether that's full-time job, whether that's way over a full-time job and you're working so much, and whether it's a super busy social life, etc. There's ways to craft nutrition around these things. So the truth is, structure does determine progress. Whether you're busy or not, you need to have structure. There needs to be an element of rules there. So I have written 3 things down that are going to be key and essential to really optimizing your progress. So rule number 1, know your daily calorie intake. And you can measure this through a TDEE calculator. And that will essentially just be the calories you should consume based on your activity, height, weight, age. And once we've got those, so say it comes out as 2,200 based on your the factors I mentioned, then if you want to be in a calorie deficit, we're going to drop that down by around about 300 calories to start. So it'd be 1,900 as your daily intake to lose around about a pound a week. And then if you wanted to gain weight, you do 2,200 plus around 300 calories, and that'd be 2,500 to gain about about a pound a week, just up, probably about under that really. So that is really important to know your calories first of all. And no matter how busy you are, it takes 5 minutes to work this out. If you're struggling, just send it over to me and I can do this, right? Send me your stats and I'll be able to do this for you. Because the truth is, if you know your calories, you can work everything around those things. And I know a lot of people don't like logging, and I fully appreciate that. I'm not saying it needs to be essential to log, but you need to be mindful at the very least of how many calories you should be having a day in order to get to the results you want to get to, whether that's maintain, build, lean down, performance, whatever it is. And then how we like to break this down. So I wouldn't necessarily say, right, let's log your food, let's hit a certain amount of fat, certain amount of carbs. That's if we're getting really specific. And I do that for clients, obviously, on meal plans, etc. And for clients that are really optimizing performance, say for it's a fight or an event, etc., things like that. But the main thing I want you guys to focus on is protein. So we want to look at 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So someone's 100 kilos, we've got 160 to 220 grams of protein. I know it sounds like a lot, but protein is going to be the building blocks of muscle, whether you're leaning down or building. So if you're leaning down, obviously you're going to be losing body fat, but we've seen so many times where people have lost weight, and that's fat and muscle. We don't want to lose what we've worked so hard to build, because you're not going to look better by losing muscle as well. You're going to lose your shape. Muscle shape. Tone is shape. Tone is muscle. Some people say, I want to tone up. They want to build muscle and they want to get some shape. So yeah, we really want to look at optimizing protein so that we can keep the muscle we've built, and it's going to help with recovery as well. And second rule is aim to cook at least 2 to 3 meals per day. So that could literally be a breakfast. So for example, a really easy breakfast, if you like oats, could literally be like a certain amount of oats based on obviously the calories. But for me, I'll tell you my breakfast. So my breakfast is 80 grams of oats, 250 milliliters of milk, 200 grams of frozen berries. Obviously, I'll put that in the microwave. And then I'll put 15 grams of honey and 1 square of dark chocolate on. That's about 650 calories. So only about 25 grams of protein, but it's got so many carbs. So I'll have my carbs front loaded in the day to get me to have a strong day. So that will set me up for the day when I see clients and when I'm training, etc. So I would definitely, that you could class that as cooking, but that's literally like, it takes 5 minutes, if that, really. So then you could even say, right, for lunch I'm going to have skyr Greek yogurt with a little bit of fruit, a little bit of honey, and like some cinnamon, etc., things like that. Or you can even say, right, I'm going to make a ham sandwich with some lettuce, mayo. It's things like that. So cooking doesn't have to be you whipping up a whole roast dinner on a Sunday afternoon. It doesn't have to be that. Obviously, if you can, amazing, because whole foods are going to be better than ready meals. But it's not the end of the world. I would just say if you're going to go for food out, I would say always look at what you can calculate. So ideally from a shop, rather than like going to a cafe and being like, yeah, I'll have a bacon sandwich, it's probably about 400 calories. You don't know that because they're going to cook it in different oils, they're going to put extra butter, things like that. So I'd always say, like, if I'm on a long day and I'm struggling to cook, I'll go to either Lidl, Sainsbury's, or yeah, probably Lidl, Sainsbury's really, and I'll look at the gym kitchen meals. So I got one the other day, it was 505 calories and it was 59 grams of protein, which is a solid amount of protein for a ready meal. And I looked on the back and it wasn't that bad. It only had like one kind of stabilizer in there, and one additive really. So it wasn't actually a bad choice, but I would look at the good choices. The best of a bad bunch is like a high protein ready meal. You can get them from anywhere really. And that's what I'd recommend to still get your goals, and obviously make sure there's some like vegetables in there. You can even add some like spinach on the side, things like that. Always take healthy snacks for you. So whether you have a driving job or not, just literally have some staples. So I always say to people, have some things in your gym bag, have some rice cakes, have banana, have some Greek yogurt with you, like even a protein yogurt. It's things like that that are going to make things so much easier. So always have stuff with you, because it's so much easier to go out and buy stuff when you've not got anything. And then that's when you can mess up your diet, essentially, mess up your eating routine. So it's possible to achieve incredible results through imperfect habits. So obviously, if we want the 1% level of results, we're going to have to do the 1% level of things. And most people aren't willing to do that. But if you want results that are good and you can go, you know what, I feel good, you don't need to have perfect habits. You literally need to follow these things. So calories and protein target hit 6 to 7 days of the week. 2 to 3 liters of water per day, minimal takeaways, highly saturated fat foods, so like really, really high like processed foods. Let me give it a good example. Like for instance, like losing a ton of cooking oil, or like when you get takeaways, like stuff's going to be super high in saturated fat. It's going to be a bunch of cheese, a bunch of oil, things like that. Bought cafe foods, restaurant food. So try and avoid these things as much as you can. That doesn't mean you have them once, twice a week here and there. Be aware that everything has calories. Yes, even table sauces, your favorite sauces, your favorite cooking oils, they have calories. A tablespoon of olive oil has around 120 calories. So be aware of that. So I'd always be mindful. You can get some fry light or a spray, because that makes it easier, and opt for the light options like light mayo and things like that. Weigh 80 to 90% of your food. So you're not guessing how many calories are in things. So you could be like, right, how much is my portion? About 100 grams of beef, and then 50 grams of potatoes, 50 grams of veg. Do you know what I mean? You need to weigh these things, because otherwise it's guesswork. And to be honest, it takes 2 minutes, so that there is really no excuse. But obviously, if you're really stuck for time, I understand that may be harder, but try and weigh as much as you can. All right, because that's really going to help. And I know people that have struggled to lose weight and they're saying they're doing everything perfectly. It's because they're not weighing their olive oil, their table sauces, and that's an extra 200 calories a day, which takes them pretty much out of their deficit completely. So please be aware of these things. Let me stop you there. So of what I mentioned, you may be thinking that does sound like effort, or I don't have time for this. And I totally appreciate that. Obviously, you're busy, you could have kids, you probably have a full-time job, you're very, very busy if you're working with me. And that's kind of the people I typically target, people that are very busy, because I can relate to that myself. But what I want you to know is there's always going to be an element of effort in anything you do. So whether you choose not to do any of these things, that's going to be hard when it comes to wanting to go to the beach with your kids or your friends, right? And you don't want to take your top off because you're not happy with how your body looks. That's, I argue, that's way harder than each day saying, right, I'm going to weigh most of my food, I'm going to try and track some things, and I'm going to try and eat mindfully healthy. And, we've had clients that are going on holiday, clients that are going to events and aren't tracking their foods and are still hitting their goals, whether that's to gain muscle or to lose body fat or for their performance, because they've built the habits to get into a good place for intuitive eating. Now, I wouldn't say to do this 100% of the time, but it's possible if you've built those habits. So the truth is, it's very hard to juggle these things, but there's always going to be an element of effort in there, of course, but you've got to just think of why you're doing this. And if you can do it in the easiest way possible, that's going to make life so much easier. So it is about choosing your hard. And to be honest, like if you chose the option of least resistance, which could be like, I'm not going to track food, I'm not going to do any of these things you've said, you're most likely going to feel low energy, brain fogged, unhappy with body image, and not confident in yourself. So I would argue spending a little bit of time each day to prioritize these things, planning your week out on the Sunday before, planning your meals out, trying to be smart where you go, what you have, logging things like coffees, etc., and being aware, asking for the semi-skim milk option as opposed to the full fat. These things are going to make a huge difference to optimize your progress. And it really is about choosing that and choosing yourself, because there's never going to be a right time. You're never going to have more time. It's never going to be better when you retire, when the kids are off for school. It's never going to work like that. You just need to try and lock in now and do the best you can with what you've got. Don't think perfect. Don't think optimal. Think best as I can do at this time. So final takeaway. I don't need to spend an hour on this presentation. I could, but I don't need to, because I just wanted to keep it nice and short and sweet. So the main thing is a mindset shift. It's deciding to live a healthy lifestyle 85 to 90% of the time. Trying to optimize the food you eat, so trying to eat whole foods, trying to have minimal takeaways, trying not to drink too much alcohol, trying to prioritize these healthy habits and think high protein diet, know your calories, track roughly, and try and keep that consistent. That is the truth. Like, if you have decent nutrition habits and a decent level of awareness of what you need to do, that can get you into a fantastic swing of things. And then as you've got to that point, so that might take a couple months to get into, then you can say, okay, I can pick up the pace a bit. And then you're tracking more of your food. You're weighing more of your food. You're more mindful on the table sources. You're eating out less. You're having less takeaways with the family. It's things like that that optimize things. And look, take this from me. I've lost about 27 kilos at the time of this video. And it's not easy, but I promise you, it's so possible. You can get into a good routine where you're still enjoying things, but you're just not letting that dictate your progress. And the truth is, it's not, it's not, the people have so many excuses, and you can still enjoy life. You don't have to not enjoy life and get your results. So if I just move this, yeah. So it does sound simple, right? Like, just literally the things I've mentioned today. It doesn't sound too complicated, really. It's not right. Get on Ozempic, run 20 miles a day. It's none of that. It's just simple strategies. And honestly, if you do this consistently through the waves of life, you will see results. No doubt about that. So, quick one for me. Yeah, if you don't know me too well, I've lost almost 30 kilos in the space of 16 months, while still having takeaways, going on holiday, having birthdays, events, Christmas, etc. I've enjoyed everything I could, but I've also followed consistent habits, as mentioned in this video, as much as possible. I've not cooked every meal. I've not tracked every calorie. I've not avoided takeaways. I've avoided coffee shops, but I've been consistent. I've planned ahead, and I've done as much as I can with what I've got. All right, and that is the biggest thing. It's possible for you to transform, so long as you follow consistency. And that is not sexy. It's boring. It's unfun. If you do the boring things consistently, you'll get those incredible results. People want to find a new diet. Let me jump on keto for 2 weeks. Let me start fasting. Let me do this. You're not looking at the root cause. The root cause is, rather the root issue is you're eating, and you don't need to jump on a new diet, a weight loss jab, to actually get good results. You need to do the right things consistently. A high protein diet, cooking as much as you can, trying to avoid takeaways, tracking your calories, knowing your protein, and that's literally it. You can essentially eat a McDonald's within your calories and still lose weight. I'm not saying that's the optimal way, because you're not going to feel great doing that, genuinely, in terms of hormonal levels and energy, but it's possible. So it's a matter of knowing roughly what you need. Look, it's never easy, but it's worth it. And look, if you have one bad day, whether that's Christmas, birthday, event, whatever, jump back on the horse straight away. Too many people will have one bad day and let that turn into a bad. If this sounds like you, don't feel bad. It happens. It's been me so many times. I used to binge eat bourbons after school and then do that every day. And then I was wondering why I had man boobs. All right. So the truth is, it's normal, but you have one bad day, you get back on the horse the next day, you follow your consistent routine, you monitor your eating, and you're going to get great results. So I hope this helped. Just one last thing. Where is it? Yeah, perfect. If you want to contact me, you can follow my Instagram, mentioned above, CTCC Health and Lifestyle. Website is this as well, to inquire or just look at things I offer and just generally get to know a bit about me. And WhatsApp, if you don't have my number, you can message me for it. But if you're a client, you should have my number. So yeah, thank you for watching today, guys. I've kept it short and sweet, around 15-minute mark. So I hope this helped. Just remember, you don't need perfect, you need consistent.